Hi, I'm Camilla and I'm a parenting coach. And this video is for all the mothers who are working from home right now and homeschooling and really struggling and feeling quite helpless to the situation because their bosses or their workplaces are not very understanding despite the fact that we're all in this boat together with this whole corona craziness. So this video I've made for you because I feel like actually there's a lot of things we can do to help ourselves feel better. And I've got four steps to help you feel better in this situation and feel more empowered and more in control of the situation. But first of all, before we begin, I'd like to ask you to like and subscribe, hit the little bells so that you get notifications, and feel free to share this with anyone that you feel that this could benefit. Okay, so you're feeling overwhelmed and super tired and you're like on this crazy hamster wheel of working yourself to death, not being able to work at the optimum level and also trying to homeschool and not being able to feel like you're homeschooling at the optimum level. So you feel like you're not able to do either. And this is, like I said, this is not for people who you can talk to your boss and you say, look, I'm really struggling. I cannot meet these deadlines. I'm trying to homeschool. And the boss goes, you know what, I get it. I'm a parent too. Or you just have an understanding boss and they go, you know what, I get it. None of us can do this to the same degree that we could when we could go into work and we had all our resources available and no kids distracting us. So this is not for you who've already had that conversation and you've got an understanding boss. This is for the people who have, let's call a spade, an asshole boss, okay? Someone who's not understanding, who's having their own, bless them, compassion for them. They're having their own stress response to this and they're trying to control in weird ways because they feel out of control and helpless in the situation. But it kind of ripples out and they're trying to do that to you and this is impacting on you. So these are the 4 steps for you. So the first one is you need to stop. Like seriously, stop. This is not sustainable. This way of working is not good for anyone. Like you're going to burn yourself out. And I know you're on the hamster wheel, so you're like, no, I can't stop. I have deadlines. I've missed them. You're like freaking out. You're like, freaking out. But actually, you seriously need to stop. This recipe is not working. So take 5 or 10 minutes. You can do that. You can take 5 or 10 minutes. I give you permission to take 5 or 10 minutes to sit back, reevaluate, make a plan, and then go forward. You need a plan. So stop for 5 or 10 minutes. You've got 5 or 10 minutes. Everybody's got 5 or 10 minutes. Even if you're going to go to bed a little bit later than usual. Just take, or get up earlier than usual. Take 5 or 10 minutes. Okay, step 2. What can we control? Is you like working yourself to death and killing yourself and freaking out about stress and being in fight or flight mode and like, being super irritable and super like, and tense and having bad interactions with your family because the tension's building and everybody's super stressed. Is that going to make your boss any less of a dick? No. Is you being a little bit calmer and accepting that there's shit that you have to let go of and that you cannot do everything because you're not a robot, you're not perfect, there's no such thing as perfect, you're not superhuman, you're a human being, is you accepting that and taking a deep breath and letting go of some of that and actually focusing on some fun stuff and injecting some joy into your world. Is that going to make your boss any less of a dick? No. So out of the 2, which one would you rather? Would you rather feel horrible and stressed out and waking up like freaking out and like have a bad day with the people around you? Or would you actually rather, choose to feel good, choose to find some things that make you feel good and know that it's not going to change the actual situation, but it changes the way you feel, which is huge, which is like the biggest thing. Out of the 2, I think I would choose the joy and not the fear every time, every freaking time. So what can you do to make yourself feel better? Is there like maybe a little bit of self-care going in there? And I'm even talking just 5 minutes, 5 minutes of breathing or 5 minutes of going for a walk or having a foot bath at the end of the day or whatever. Or watching a comedy. I know we don't always have time for these things, but what could you do so that, even if it's like you wake up and you put on some loud music and you dance for 5 minutes and you just have some fun to start the day on a positive note, or you batch cook a bunch of foods that you've got your favorite food for like the whole week to look forward to, or whatever. Like just think creatively about how are you going to introduce some fun into this situation instead of freaking out and just accepting that you're not superhuman. So but seriously, your perspective, it's so powerful in this situation. The only thing we can control is how we feel and how we choose to respond. We can't control another person. We can't jump into their body and make them behave a certain way or change their mind. The only thing we can do is change our mind. How are we seeing this? Are we seeing this through eyes of fear and panic and, oh my God, I'm going to lose my job, and oh my God, if I don't do this, I'm not good enough? Or do we go, actually, hang on, I can only do my best. I'm doing my best, and that's all there is. I cannot do any better than that. There was a study that they did where they took some students who were about to take an exam. So they took like their mock exam, their practice exam, and they put them in two groups, the control group and the group that got the pep talk. So the control group got nothing. It's like, okay, you've got your nerves, just go for it, go do your exam. This other group, they gave them a little pep talk telling them that actually how you're feeling right now, the butterflies, the nervousness, the excitement, the adrenaline rushing around your body, this is going to help you. This is going to serve you. This is going to benefit you. This stress is good for you. Now, who did best on their exam, do you think? The ones with nothing or the ones with the pep talk? It was the ones with the pep talk. They didn't just do better at their mock exam. They did better at their actual exam, which was months later, and they didn't give them anything else in between. They didn't give them a second pep talk or anything. So how we perceive stuff really affects how we feel and what we actually end up doing. So have a think about that. There's the negative stress, the distress, and then there's the positive stress, the eustress. And a lot of it is to do with perception and how we feel. So what can you do to help yourself feel better? Because you do have control over that. No one can jump into your body and make you feel anything. You choose how you feel. And if you feel yourself going into panic and fight or flight mode, what helps you come out of that? Have a plan. Okay, so step 1, you stop. Step 2, you look at what can you control. Step 3, what are your standards? What is your bottom line for what you will and won't tolerate? What are your values? You really need to evaluate this. You really need to look at this for a second. If someone came in and said, I'm going to fire you if you don't let me cut off your leg, would you let them do it? Or in some workplaces, this shit happens, I'm going to fire you if you don't sleep with me. Would you? Would you do that for your work? Some people might. Some people might not. Some people like their legs, So I know I'm being a bit blunt here, but really it's like, what are you willing to tolerate? Where is your standard of what you would allow? Do you feel like you're a worthy person that deserves to know that, hey, I've done my best and that's good enough? And if you decide you want to fire me, or I cannot, you threatening to fire me isn't going to make me work any faster. I'm already working the fastest that I can. Or, are you going to let them trample all over you? I'm not saying what you should or shouldn't do. I'm never going to tell you what to do. I'm never going to tell you what to say to your boss, even though it would be super satisfying to tell them where to stick it. But what I'm saying is have a reflection, think about this consciously now, because right now we're acting on autopilot. We're just doing rather than thinking, because we're in that do active mode. And actually we need to stop and reflect and just think, okay, where am I on this scale? What do I tolerate? What do I not want to tolerate? Because then when the time comes, you'll know how far you're willing to go. 4th step, have a plan, have a battle plan. So this links into the other steps, But know what your value is. And if you can't do that for you, do that for your kids, because we're just so caught up in our I have so much empathy. I really do. I know I've been a bit blunt, but seriously, I have so much compassion and empathy, because it is such a hard situation to be in. It really, really is. And we are so dependent on external circumstances. What does my boss think? What's going to happen? I need this money. I need this job. All those factors, they're super important. Of course, they're going to affect us. Of course, we can't just brush them off entirely. But all I'm saying is it's not the be end all, of how we feel. Because someone can come and take your leg, you'd still be a person. Someone can come and take your job, you'd still be a person. Someone, who's had breast cancer and they've had their breast removed, that doesn't make them any less of a woman. All these things, they're just part of our identity. They're not the huge, they're not the whole picture. These are just aspects. We are souls. We're souls that are here to experience these things. We forget that. Sometimes we're so caught up in our little self that we forget our bigger self, that actually there's some other divine connection going on. But We'll put that aside for a minute. Have a plan. Have a plan for what you're willing to do, what you're not willing to do, and what you will do when certain things are asked of you. So if someone has unreasonable requests and they're asking you to work way more because you're at home, what else are you going to do? We're all at home now. We might as well, somebody might have a like a workaholic for a boss, and that workaholic boss might think, well, everybody else is willing to do the same as me. And it's like, actually, they're not. They have families. Well, we used to have social lives, but they need downtime as well in order to function optimally. Not everybody is a workaholic, so we can't all jump in that boat and be there with them, So have a plan. What do you want to start the day out with dancing for 5 minutes so that you're in a good mindset? Do you want to start the day out with pancakes? Even if it means you got to batch cook them like for the week so that you've got these fun breakfasts to have with your family or whatever. Like think about how can you start the day positively? What are you going to do? What are you going to accept? How are you going to feel? How are you going to choose to feel? And what are you going to let slide and like roll off your back, like water off a duck's back? And then if they have these unreasonable expectations that you're going to work till 8 or 9 at night, where are you going to draw the line? What is the bottom line for you about how much you will work? And what are you going to do if you miss a deadline? Like have a plan. Are you just going to accept it? Are you going to write a letter, put something in writing about how you feel that it's unreasonable? Just have a think. I can't tell you what to do. I don't know what your specific situation is, but have a think about how will you tolerate, what will you tolerate and how will you deal with this? Even write a script and practice it. Like when are you going to say no to your boss? When are you going to say yes? When are you going to, reasonably request a break and know that actually even if they say no, like at least you tried. There's something about just having a specific plan in place about what are you going to do, what actions are you going to take, and then stick to them. Really, really stick to them. Because you're not just doing this for you, you're also doing this for your child. What is your child seeing? This is what I was coming on to before. We're role modeling for our children all the time. And if our children are seeing us bending over backwards for other people to the detriment of ourselves, of our own souls, of our own well-being, of our own physical health, what are we teaching them? Like seriously, what are we teaching them? That's not what we want for them. We want them to be fulfilled and happy. And I'm not saying this in some sort of make you feel guilty way. We are all just coming from a place of fear and stress, and we need to get out of that place because there's only two places you can be. You can either be in fear or you can be in trust and love. We need to get over to that side. You can't be on both sides of the fence at once. You can't be a little bit here and a little bit there. You're either this or you're that. And we need to get you from this over to this, which is so much better and feels better for you, and you're able to give much more to your family. We have to have compassion for ourselves. We cannot work to the same degree that we could before, and we cannot parent to the same extent that we did before. Like we cannot hold ourselves up to those standards because those standards are impossible right now. We're not perfect. No one's perfect. We're all imperfect, human, normal beings. So we need to have compassion for ourselves. We need to accept that we cannot function in that way. And then we need to have a plan for how will we function? What will it look like? What is it going to look like? That's where we take back the power. That's where we take back the power and the control. We can't control how anybody else is going to react, but what we can do is we can control how we decide that we're going to react and how we're going to feel. But we have to have steps in place in order to do that. So take 5 or 10 minutes, sit, do some deep breathing, reflect on this. This is food for thought. At the end of the day, you're going to do what you're going to do, but just know that I'm here. I just want to support you and just want to know, or just want you to know that there's so much love here for you. I just really want what's best for you, and feeling like you're stressed beyond reason is not good for you, which is why I'd like to help change that. So to change your mindset. So some of these tools, these 4 steps, give them a try. See how you feel. I mean, what's the harm? What's the harm in trying this? You're not going to lose anything. You can go back to the old way again afterwards if you don't feel that this is going to work. But I guarantee you that if you really think about these things and actually implement some stuff, it will really help. So if you have a plan for how your day is going to be and how you will structure it so that you've got food, you've got water, you've got breaks, whatever it is that you need, and then stick to those things. I've got some tips in my other video for that as well. I'll put the link below. And there's tons of other stuff out there. There's tons of people doing videos like this right now with all kinds of suggestions on how to homeschool and work at home as well. with all kinds of tips on batch cooking or all these different efficiency things that we can do to save time. So have a look, empower yourself. Are we looking at the problem? Or are we looking for solutions? That is the most important thing. If our car is careening out of control, off the road into a mountain, are we going to look at the mountain and just crash into it? Or are we going to look back at the road and think, that's where I want to be, and then steer all we can and do something? Or are we just going to sit there and let it happen? Don't let it happen. Please. Take some action. Take some steps. Reflect. Anyway, if this is at all useful to you, then please like and subscribe to my videos. Feel free to pass this on to anyone else that you feel could benefit from this. And just know that I'm here for you. If you need to get in touch, I'll have all my contact stuff below. If you just want someone just to vent to, I'm here.